Good evening. We're back.
We are back. I came back from London. You and I had the great, I was going to say the great reunion, but it wasn't a reunion because a reunion is like the first annual. You have to actually have a, I don't know. It was the first meeting. You and I got together in London town for the very first time in all the years that we did this show.
Yeah, it's been nearly 9 years. This was the first time we met.
Yeah, that was good. We shared a burger. Not one burger. We each had our own burgers, but we sat down. It was you and me and Jonathan Reed, and who also is at Mac Stories, and my family, two of my kids, not all three, and Jennifer. And we went to Honest Burger, which is the first time, I guess it's not the first time I went to London, but the last time before this that I went to London, I went to an Honest Burger with Mike Hurley, and you suggested it. And I didn't even realize it was literally around the corner from my hotel, like so close you could throw a stone to it. And it was just the direction that I hadn't walked yet. And there was a nice little pub across the alley from it too. I never ended up going to that pub, regrettably, but I did go to plenty of pubs while I was in Ireland and London, but not that particular one.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, but Honest Burger was good. I mean, they make a solid burger over there.
Yeah, the burger was good. The fries were good. We had a nice time. We sat there for a few hours just chit chatting, didn't we? So
yeah, it was good. That was after my 20-kilometer walking day. I did a lot of walking, Rob. I think Jennifer tallied up, we walked like 80 miles in 9 days, something like that. So it was a good exercise vacation, I suppose, all over. London's an easy place to walk a lot of miles just because it's such a spread out big city. But Ireland too, we did a lot there. Ireland was hillier, so Ireland maybe was shorter walks but steeper hills.
Yeah, I bet. So we've had some feedback. We sort of jokingly put a call out for a name for what to call one of us when we're the ones bringing the snacks to the show.
Yes, I totally forgot that we put that call out.
So Leon came in with a bit of a preamble, but snackplier. So you're the snack supplier. I like this.
I like this. This is very good. You were a snackplier for me when I was in London. We'll talk about what you plied to me in a future episode, since I have not actually tried it yet. But you were a snackplier, and I was a comic plier because I brought you a couple of comic books.
Yes, you did. Because I could not get them in the UK, and shipping them to the UK was extraordinarily expensive.
Yeah.
So you kindly bought them over for me. And as you said, I gave you a gift, which we will talk about on a future episode.
Oh, you know what? I have a snack adjacent story to tell you that I just thought of, because I was thinking about your comic books and how they were in my backpack all the way from North Carolina to London. And Jennifer likes bringing snacks on our trips. She always, she doesn't want to ever go hungry or have to spend too much money on expensive snacks at the airport. So she brought along, for whatever reason, Sour Patch Kids, a whole cardboard movie style box of watermelon flavored Sour Patch Kids. And I opened them on the way to Europe, and I had a few, but I didn't finish the box, and I put it back in my backpack. And it was not a box that closed very easily. It was, it was just like a cardboard box. It had a little tab that you could kind of close it with. But the bottom line was, it got a little squashed. Things got loose. Watermelon shaped Sour Patch Kids were floating around in my backpack, and I pulled out my iPad one day, and there were Sour Patch Kids that had been squashed on the side of it, and I guess they had been hot because they're all kind of melted and squashed on there, and it took a bit of cleaning to get them off of there. And it turned out they were also on my headphone case. You're fortunate though, Rob, because this was all post giving you your comics. Before they spilled out somewhere in the second half of the trip, and I didn't notice this until I guess it was until I got home. It was in the Dublin airport, actually. I noticed it on the iPad, and then there were a few more that I had to deal with when I got home to North Carolina. But be careful out there with your Sour Patch Kids. They don't mix well with electronics.
No, it's electronics, and it was a really hot week as well.
Yeah, it was a really hot week, and one of the things that one of the reasons these melted is that we were delayed on our flight from Dublin to North Carolina on the way home because we stopped over in Dublin, and it was pretty warm in Dublin, and they put us on the airplane, and then the power supply for the air conditioning broke, and we sat on the airplane for over an hour in the sun as, it was like every single seat was taken practically, and it was just sweltering. The temperature was just rising really rapidly, and eventually it got to the point they had to take us off the plane because it was too hot, and they had to fix it before we could go, and so we were very delayed getting home, and I spent a while in an airplane with my backpack and, in intense heat, which is what I think did in these Sour Patch Kids.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Well, this week I am the snackplier, as it were. Are you familiar with Jaffa cakes?
I've heard of Jaffa cakes. I think I've probably heard of them from you, but I don't remember what they are, and I certainly don't understand what this says in our show notes that you wrote down.
So a Jaffa cake is sort of the size of a cookie, like a little biscuit, but it is a cake.
All right.
Legally as well, it's a cake for very boring tax reasons, but it is a cake.
All right. Can I just say that I did see something when I was in London that was like a commentary on how many laws there are in England. And this sounds like one of those things, that there's a law about everything.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. This went to court and everything because you pay tax on biscuits, but not on cakes.
Okay.
For whatever reason. Anyway, it's a small, cookie sized thing, and it has like cake on the bottom, chocolate on the top, and then inside, sort of underneath the chocolate, is the standard flavor is orange.
Okay.
And it has like a sort of a circle of orange jelly type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And they're pretty common, like you can pretty much get them in every shop. And at the moment, the company that makes Jaffa cakes are on a bit of a roll making like unusual flavors. So they've got pineapple, they've got cherry. Mm-hmm. There's a few others we've picked up. And then this week, or last week, I think I was alerted that they're doing cola bottle flavored Jaffa cakes. Now, I'm now wondering if cola bottles even translates to the US. Like, do you know the cola bottle sweets? Like, does that candy?
I was assuming that this meant like Coke flavored.
They are, but there's a very particular type of little gummy sweets that you can buy.
We have those, but I don't think we call them, I don't know if we call them cola bottles. I've never heard them called cola bottles, but we have those. Gummy Coke flavored, like, like kind of like the Haribo gummy bears, but shaped like a cola bottle and tastes like
yes.
Coke. Yeah.
Exactly like that. Okay, so we everything's explained now. Good. Yeah, so they've done these cola bottle, they've made the jelly taste like those cola bottle sweets. So again, I'm not sure they actually taste like Coke. I'm not sure any of it tastes like Coke, but it certainly is a distinct flavor.
Mm-hmm.
And I opened them today for the show because there are at least 2 people waiting to hear my opinion on this.
So somebody who's waiting with their credit card in hand.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
Oh, yeah. I would think they would be. I think that's a good. I would think that would be a good combination of flavors.
Yeah, I think they nailed it. I think this is a good one. I'm still partial to the original, just the orange, but I don't feel like I wasted my money on these.
All right. Well, we have similar type things here. I think here they would be categorized as cookies, not cakes. A lot of times, and this is probably a little different because I think what I'm thinking of that's similar would be have a marshmallow center and have chocolate over the top, but the base would be more of a crispy cookie instead of a cake type thing. And it sounds like you're talking about something that's a little bit more cake-like than cookie-like. And I did wonder when I saw cola bottle Jaffa cakes, I was wondering if the cakes tasted like the bottle and not the cola. But now that you've explained the candy, I understand, because why would you put the bottle in there? You don't put glass in your Jaffa cakes, for goodness sake.
No, yeah, don't do that.
All right.
And speaking of British institutions, you were able to try something that we discussed probably a few months ago now.
I did. I was at Old Street Station in London. My hotel was nearby, and we stopped in a Mark and Spencer's takeout shop. I guess it's called M&S, and it, they have like sandwiches and drinks and other takeaway type grocery items. And Jennifer happened upon some Colin the Caterpillar cakes, and she bought a small package that had like, I don't know, like maybe 4 of them, I think, 4 small ones. And we ate them on the way to the Relay 10 show. They were quite good, quite tasty. The candy, it was just like you had described in that past episode from, I don't know, a few months ago, I think now, but yeah, they were quite tasty. I enjoyed my Colin cake. We had looked for them here at Aldi in the US, but they don't have them at our Aldi's here. And since Marks and Spencer was right there, we were able to find a package.
This pleases me. Like, I feel like it's all coming together. Like, we met, and then I've bought you stuff. You bought comics. You've tried a collid now.
Yeah, it's all
going very well.
Yeah, well, and in a funny turn, Old Street Station has been transformed into a very confusing Fold Street Station. I know that you're familiar with this from coming to meet me. That you came through Old Street Station, right?
So I didn't come into the station. I actually walked from my hotel. But what I had noticed on the floor near my hotel was there was they had spray painted on the floor like the London Tube station logo, but it said Fold Street on it.
Yeah.
So it was the same logo that they had on those big screens above the station. And I was maybe like 10-minute walk away from the station. I didn't really think anything of it. I thought, that's weird, yeah. Whatever, Samsung, you've got a folding phone. And then I get there, and I looked on Find My Friends, and I saw you were about 10 minutes away, so I just sat down on a bench. And then I looked up at the station, and the station has actually been renamed Fold Street Station. So they've gone up, they've put an extra F on the end of the station sign for the main entrance.
Yeah, and they made it look like it was supposed to be called that too. It was not. It looked like the proper signage for the station. Yeah.
Yeah, and then like outside they had like a folded over lamppost and a folded over telephone box
and a folded over bench too, I think.
Mm-hmm. And something interesting happened because I was sat on the bench with my back to the station entrance, so looking down, this big sort of pedestrian area.
Yeah,
because that's where I thought you were coming from.
Where all the trees were and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right.
Exactly. And so I was sat there for about 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes waiting for you. And there was this interesting thing that would happen is people would walk up, see the name of the station, and you could spot if they were a local or if they were a tourist.
Yes.
Because the tourists would stop and take a photo, and maybe they'd stop and take a photo with the phone box or whatever. And anyone who's clearly either works in London or lives in London just rolled their eyes and carried on walking. Like every single person did this. They would walk up, see that it had been renamed, roll their eyes, and then carry on about with their day.
Well, yeah, it was interesting because so you did not go to the station. If you go down into the station, the branding was everywhere too. There's like a long escalator down to the trains, which had screens that had Samsung Fold advertising. The stairs said Fold Street Station as you would walk up. The vertical parts of the stairs kind of created their own billboard of Fold Street Station and a Samsung phone. It was just like everywhere, and they weren't fooling too many people, I don't think, except that I will tell you that when we got into town the first night, that's where we got off the tube coming from Heathrow, and we were a little confused because it was like 11:30 at night and we had a long day and we were really tired, and we're like, wait, what? This is our stop? It says Fold everywhere. And yeah, I mean, it was a little confusing the very first time we came through as people who are not local to the area.
Yeah, I always wonder about this because there's other occasions where they do this, not necessarily advertise it, but they maybe change the name of the stations on the little, on the signs in Waterloo and stuff like that. And I do wonder, like, in a situation like yours where you're not from London, you've just arrived in town and you get there and it just says Fold Street everywhere. And you're like, well, you wouldn't necessarily know that that's what's going on.
Right.
If anything, it's probably a little bit easier for you because, of what you do for a living. You're going to spot that a little bit quicker than most people.
Right.
You're like, all right, okay, Samsung's nonsense again.
Yeah. Did you notice that there were a couple of Samsung guys standing around by the phone box and the bench? There were two guys in white polo shirts who I think were like marketing people who would, when they saw somebody particularly interested in the folded telephone box, would walk up to them and tell them about Samsung phones.
Amazing. No, I did not see those.
Well, maybe they weren't there.
If it was probably because it was late in the day.
Yeah, it was pretty late in the day. And but if when we would go out in the morning, because we almost always walked right past that station when we were going out for the day, and there were almost always two poor guys standing there in the sun, talking to tourists and other people taking pictures of the telephone box.
Incredible. I bet they sold 0 phones.
Oh, I bet.
There is no way that worked. No way.
No, I know. There was a lot of fold advertising everywhere in London. I saw it in a lot of places. I mean, it was really, that was ground zero at Old Street Station, but it was all over the place too.
Yeah, maybe Ruminate needs to sponsor a station.
Yeah, we should. Or maybe the Fold needs to sponsor Ruminate. Come on, think of it that way. You know what I mean? Like, let's not spend money before we make money, Rob.
Yeah, no, good part. I'll read it. I'll read an advert for Samsung, no problem.
All right. We're all into the Fold. I want to use a Fold to make it like a little Nintendo DS. That's my my dream. You know what I mean?
But there is one more thing on this topic while we're the actual tech angle of it. Clearly the Fold is like the important thing. It's the name of the product. Yeah. It folds, But every advert just said, AI is here.
That's true.
Like, well, I don't need a folding phone for that. I can do that on a non-folding phone.
Yeah.
It's very, very strange.
AI, it's like it's got NFTs and Bitcoin baked in. That was like 2 years ago, and now it's got AI, and I don't know. I'm getting a little tired of like the hotness of the day in tech. It's like there's the hype cycle has like reached a fever pitch that just says to me that we're in the midst of something of a bubble. And I think like the worldwide stock market seem to be in agreement with me right now.
Yeah, definitely. We do have one small AI topic here if you wanted to do that one.
Yeah. I mean, you and I were talking about this before we started recording. I've been fiddling around with Apple Intelligence, and one of the things I was curious about was how these summaries work in Safari, because when they first debuted, with the public beta, I wrote about them in my preview article, and I literally could only find at the time a single post that had a summary attached to it. And lo and behold, it was a post by Steven Sinofsky, who used to work at Microsoft, who was writing an article on Medium, I think, on whatever his blog is based on, in defense of Apple and the antitrust allegations that have been brought against them, and the, the EU regulation and all that stuff, which I thought was very funny that was the only one that was summarized. Now, however, you can find lots of things summarized, including a fair amount of stuff on Mac Stories. Not a lot on Mac Stories, though, because I was trying to figure out what is it that triggers summaries, because not everything has a summary, nor does everything have a table of contents. And as far as I can tell, at the moment, which is, what are we on? Developer Beta 5. It's based on H2s. If your story has an H2 in it, Apple has decided that it must be lengthy and therefore merit a table of contents and also a summary. All right. Which, I mean, I find funny because as somebody who works on the web, I mean, H2s are kind of used a lot. There's a lot of like SEO mumbo jumbo around, having H2s that are packed with keywords and stuff. That's like something that is one of those conventional wisdom things that people have done for a long time. Whether it even works today, who knows? But that's something you hear if you're exposed at all to like web SEO topics. And historically, we don't use a lot of H2s on Mac stories. I mean, we do have them. We use them when they seem to make sense, but not like as a general rule. And so I had to really think about it a little bit. And I went back and I found like an old Good Links review I did. I looked at our Mac Story Selects Awards, which are kind of structured in a table of contents way. So we have a lot of H2s in those. I looked at some of my old Mac OS reviews, which also have H2s. And sure enough, those things were all summarized. Then I went and looked at something more recent from 2024 to see if it was summarized. And nothing that didn't have H2s, regardless of the time period, was summarized or had a table of contents. And in 2024, nothing, including the articles that had H2s, was summarized because that's presumably because we blocked the Apple's bot beginning in, I guess it was sometime in mid-July. And it seems as though that blocking has had some retroactive effect, most likely because the Apple's bot hadn't crawled Mac stories in a while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know.
What do you think? What do you think about this? If this is how they're doing it, what do you think about it?
It seems pretty rudimentary. It seems like a real sort of first pass at this summary stuff. And not to bring them up again, but if you take something like Perplexity or ChatGPT, any of those, like, not that I think these summaries are that useful, but like if you run an article through those, you get a really good summary generally.
Yeah.
And by really good, I mean it's clearly read the content, and you will get a table of contents, and it's kind of accurate. Like, obviously you need to check it anyway because it's AI, but like it really feels like Apple is sort of on the back foot with this AI stuff, and it's almost too late, because we've got to this point now. Like you say, the stock market is going down. There was a study that came out the other day that, like, if a product advertises that it has AI, like, people are actually less likely to trust it and less likely to buy it. So it almost feels like the hype is really dying down already. And I think we're going to settle into whatever AI is actually going to be useful for people. But it almost feels like it's too little too late from Apple.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we'll see. I think we're going to swing the other way. I mean, I think the problem is that people are trying to stuff too many different things into AI. And I had a good conversation the other day with Alex Guillot about this, where, he made the point to me, which I thought was a really interesting one, is that the thing that's really good about computers is that they're deterministic, that you can count on the output that you get, and you can count on getting it quickly. And the thing with AI is you can't count on the output being deterministic or it being fast. And it's almost exactly the opposite of what computers are historically good at. That doesn't mean that there isn't a place for it necessarily, but it also probably means that it's not a solution to everything we've used computers for successfully in the past. So, I mean, I think that's something to keep in mind. And I do find it is odd to me that it's only articles with H2s that get the summary. That may be something that changes over time. I mean, we are still in the betas. And as I said, when I saw the first iteration of this, it was only in one article that I could even find. And now it's in a lot more. I know I use, Readwise Reader from time to time, and it summarizes every article that you save into it. So it's not like there's no reason to limit it to articles with H2s. I would think the table of contents part of it might be limited to articles with H2s or H3s or H4s, whatever it happens to be. But there's no reason to limit the summarization, I don't think, even if it's a short article. I have a very funny screenshot I want to send you that Mike Hurley was playing around, and I'm sure he won't mind if I mention this. He was playing around with the summarization feature I think he was on his iPad, but he was looking at a website. It was a Patreon page for a podcast, and he highlighted a couple of paragraphs, and he asked the writing tools to summarize it for him in a friendly way. And it ended up, the last sentence is, you'll also get access to a special members area called BEH, which is absolutely hilarious. It just made up the word "beh." I don't know where the "beh" comes from, but it was.
Yeah, I'm looking at what he's highlighted there, and like none of that. It doesn't even make any sense.
No, it's pretty funny. I mean, this is from I think it's the Enter the Aether podcast membership page for Patreon, and it's just one of those things. Like, to me, that's the problem. One of my big problems with using AI tools for my writing is that I just think it slows me down because I can't rely on it. I have to do the work anyway. And I don't find like Apple's summaries or their rewrites to be particularly good quality to begin with. So, I mean, there are things about these features that I like. I think the email summarization has some promise where, you could quickly look at your email and maybe find out more about what it's about than you would get just from the first 3 lines, that kind of thing. That works pretty well. I think it's like a tool that's good for things like auto tagging if you're using some kind of tagging system in an app, because that's like busy work that you can get rid of. There's a lot of things like that, but I'm not a big fan of the summarization stuff myself.
No, I can't see myself. I can't see myself using that at all, to be honest. If an article's long and there's stuff in it I want, well, I will just sit down and I'll make sure I read it.
Yeah, and that's what really bugs me about like read later apps, like Readwise Reader. I don't get why that's in an app like that, because I mean, presumably you save something for later because you want to read it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
not read
in theory, I think we all know that read later apps are more aspirational than they are.
Oh, that's true.
Functional, but
that's true. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, are you going to get any more from reading the summary than you are from reading the headline and the first couple of lines of the article? Anyway, I don't know. I don't think so. But
no, I totally agree with you. I mean, I'm just being a bit facetious there, but because we all totally don't have a massive list of articles we've saved that we may never get around to reading.
Oh, sure. I'm notorious for that.
Mm-hmm.
I've been called. I've been described as a digital pack rat, Rob.
No, me too. I think it's just rude.
I think it is. those people. People ought to do something about the people calling me names.
Yeah, exactly. Our final story here is, I think this literally came out a couple of hours ago. But Twitter, or X, I'm calling it Twitter because whatever.
Because it's Twitter. I mean, X is a dumb name.
They're suing advertisers for what they call, quote, an illegal boycott, which I'm pretty sure is not a thing.
No. It's called, we decided not to do business with you, which is like,
right,
just how the world works. Yeah. It's to me, this seems to me like the mark of the beginning of the end for Twitter, now X, that they sued a trade industry group, which is some sort of trade group for advertisers, and a bunch of individual advertisers, some very large names in retail who I guess have in the past advertised on Twitter for, I guess, conspiring and working in concert to boycott buying ads, which, that's just not a thing, really. It's not like there's no law that says, thou must buy ads on Twitter. It just doesn't work that way.
I mean, this feels like, what they're describing as an illegal boycott is like, that's like the pinnacle of capitalism, isn't it? It's like people didn't want to buy your product, whatever it is you're selling, so they just didn't.
Right.
They went and bought somebody else's thing. Like, this is what everybody wants, isn't it? Capitalists, and the likes of Elon Musk. He's like, oh no, I've earned all this money, and I did it all off my own back. This is ridiculous.
Yeah,
and I hope this never even makes it to a court.
Yeah, well, it is ridiculous, and it's one of the. I just saw it and thought it was kind of funny, and thought I'd raise it because back in the day we talked about Twitter quite a bit. And, it's one of those things. One of the things that I always kind of expected was that it was going to take quite a while for Twitter to really fade into the sunset, mainly because it was a pretty big company. And it still is a pretty large company in terms of the millions of dollars that it's able to draw in. And they can knock along for a pretty long time, especially if Elon Musk is willing to continue to pour money into it, to kind of prop it up. So but an action like this really will, to me, all this is going to do is dry up their revenue further and probably hasten the demise of what's left of the company.
Yeah. Yeah, I give them a few more years, maybe, like you say. They keep going for quite a while because they do have income streams, and, Elon's seemingly willing to just pile money into it because he loves the X name so much.
Right.
But yeah, I just thought it was worth mentioning that because it's kind of ridiculous. I mean, I'm sure by the time the next episode comes out, this will be done and over with, probably.
Yeah, well, he has a long history of suing people for no particular good reason, and those, it's more of a publicity thing than anything else. So I guess in that sense, we've done a little bit to help him.
Oh no, what did we do? Oh well.
Oops.
Don't use X. There you go.
All right.
There you go. We've counteracted it.
Good. The world is back in balance. All right.
There we go.
Perfect. Well, we will be back in a couple of weeks.
Yes, we will. I will speak to you then.
Bye.